Good evening. I am Frank Noble, Chief Executive of St Peter's Hospice. On behalf of the trustees, executives and all of the staff at St Peter's Hospice, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to this 2020 Light Up a Life service. This year, for the first time, we are conducting Light Up a Life as a virtual service. As you'll understand, we've had to suspend our normal services at the Bristol Cathedral, at the Salvation Army and here in Brentry. Even though we can't be together in one place, we are all connected by our shared experience of 2020, the memory of our loved ones and our commitment to St Peter's Hospice. We have all faced extraordinary challenges this year. However, as a hospice, we will get through, and no matter what our future holds, with your support, we will be there for people when it matters most. I hope that you enjoy the service the team have put together, as we all take time to honour the memory of our loved ones and light a candle in remembrance. I would now like to hand over to Ralph de Soma, our multi-faith team lead here at St Peter's, who will share with us the format for the service.
Thank you, Frank. Good evening. My name is Ralph de Soma. I'm the multi-faith team lead here at St Peter's Hospice. And it's my privilege to welcome you to our annual Light Up a Life service, our very first online service that we're hosting this year. This year has thrown many challenges our way. We've all had to face this pandemic together. We've had to learn to social distance, not see our loved ones, change how we go about our lives, and learn to do things virtually. How many of us had ever heard of Zoom before 2020? And now here we are gathering together virtually to remember and reflect on the impact of the loss of our loved ones. For many of you, attending our Light Up a Life service to remember your loved ones is something familiar and special that you do every year. While for others, you are joining us for the first time, and perhaps you don't really know quite what to expect. One thing is for sure, that we are all here together, and everything you need to know is in the order of service that was emailed out to you. If you feel you need support or someone to talk to as a result of today's service, please do call our bereavement line. The service, whilst virtual, will have an old familiar feeling with a mixture of readings, poems, songs and personal stories. If for any reason we suffer technical issues, rest assured we will be making every effort to rectify the problem as quickly as possible. So do please bear with us. The service will be available to watch from Monday on our website, so anyone who has not been able to join will be able to view it in their own time. Our service this year is framed around the theme of loss, and how loss happens in small and also in big ways. Everyone has faced loss in life. Our hope is that through this service, you'll be comforted to know that you are not alone, and that all these people who are joining together tonight have experienced the loss of someone or something significant in their lives. And that even though we face loss as individuals, loss is a shared human experience.
The loss of you searches me and knows me. It is with me when I wake and when I sleep. It is forever a part of my thoughts. Where can I go to escape? Is there a place I can run to get away? If I climb the highest mountain, it is there. If I swim into the deepest ocean, it is still there. If I crossed the driest desert, it finds me there. In my happiness and in my sadness, it is there. The loss of you continues to shape who I am. It permeates every part of my being. The loss of you closed the door on our future, but it can never silence the memory of our past.
I find myself a little torn, a little broken hearted. reach. It's typical that when my ship comes in, it leaves me stranded again, and I have breathed all of my breath away. Letting go is harder and harder every day, 'cause you were everything to me, and so much more. Loving you from here is easier than not loving you at all. I find myself confused again. I had a dream that you were mine and we were friends. But morning came, stole all my dreams away. Now I'm lying here alone. How will I ever know when I have breathed all of my breath away? Letting go is harder and harder every day, 'cause you were everything to me, and so much more. Loving you from here is easier. And what would it feel like to see love in your eyes, to know I'm the reason for your smile? What would it be like to be loved by you, when all I feel is the way that I do? And I have breathed all of my breath away. Letting go is harder and harder every day, 'cause you were everything to me, and so much more. Loving you from here is easier than not loving you at all. Than not loving you at all. Than not loving you at all.
The Reality by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. The reality is that you will grieve forever. You will not get over the loss of a loved one. You will learn to live with it. You will heal and you will rebuild yourself around the loss that you have suffered. You will be whole again, but you will never be the same. Nor should you be the same, nor would you want to. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. By E. E. Cummings. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I'm never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. Whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it's you are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever the sun will always sing to you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that keeps the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart.
Hi, my name is Paula White, and I lost my husband Spencer on the 14th of October 2019, 1 year after his diagnosis of bowel cancer. I've been asked by St Peter's Hospice to share my story of loss as part of this special remembrance service today. I'm a little nervous as I've never done anything like this before, so please bear with me. I mention the date I lost my husband as this is significant. This is the date people see the loss. It is the date from which people count the days when they decide at which stage in grief I should be, whether I'm moving on too quickly or wallowing too long. But I would like to talk to you today about loss being a journey which began on the day he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and that will be part of my life every day. It is significant, especially this year, as through the unfolding pandemic and the subsequent lockdowns, we have all faced loss, whether that be the loss of loved ones, the loss of freedoms, or loss of our usual routines and ways of life. The day Spencer was diagnosed with terminal cancer, aged 50, after a short period of internal discomfort, was one of the most devastating moments of our lives. I could not bear that this was happening to him and us. We'd just got married and moved into our happy home just 1 year earlier, and we'd so many dreams and plans and so much to look forward to. I'm going to describe these losses purely from the perspective of a carer and someone who was losing a person they deeply loved. This is done because this is my story and my life, and with total understanding that the greatest loss of all was encountered by Spencer. From diagnosis on, the losses hit thick and fast. There were the visceral losses. I lost my appetite, I lost weight, I lost the ability to sleep. If I did fall asleep, exhausted from fear and dealing with medical emergencies, I would have nightmares and wake, recognizing that something was wrong, and then feeling sick again when I remembered what was happening. I longed for it to change, for it to be different. I was always someone who could think hard, work hard, and fix things. I had to accept that I couldn't fix this, and I only give my all and let hope sit alongside fear. Together we lost our future, where there were long-term dreams for retirement, medium-term plans for holidays, and short-term plans for bike rides, picnics, and days out with our friends and children. There just became a black hole. We lost the ability to have fun together. The pain, hospital admissions, operations, and fear meant that our normal was shattered. The little things we enjoyed, like eating out or going for long walks, were stopped due to his increasingly limited diet and decreasing physical ability. When I did try to find something nice for us to do, it was fragile, and above us sat a huge black cloud that we both felt but were scared to acknowledge. We lost a whole heap of vocabulary that before we took for granted. When we retire, one day, next Christmas, all became terms that were locked away in a box, as uttering them and remembering that they might not be was too awful. We became more united than ever, as together we faced something so big and so daunting that holding each other tight for support, alone in a world that was carrying on as normal, was extremely bonding. And yet we also had a giant unspoken wedge forced between us. We were on exactly the same journey, yet what we were fearing most had vastly different outcomes. His loss of life meant the end for him, and for me meant a future without this person around whom my world was built. It is hard for people to understand, but I lost my husband in some ways at diagnosis. The person I could talk to about anything became the person I hid my deepest fears from. The person who was strong and capable and there for me became the person I had to be strong and capable for. The sense of loss and grief was profound, and yet he was right there by my side, and so no loss was visible. We were first introduced to St. Peter's Hospice in the summer before his death. The horror of his illness reaching hospice stage is hard to describe, and yet what came into our lives was a person who visited our home each week and listened and understood and cared. I had a phone number I could call where they would answer and help. We had a place to go to where they knew who we were and how we felt, and some of the weight was lifted off us. We were husband and wife for the short time we were there, not patient and carer. The loss of dignity Spencer felt throughout his illness was replaced by warmth and respect and care for him right until his last breath and beyond. Each person we encountered cared for us both, understood the losses, and allowed us to just be us. Beyond the loss of Spencer, I've not lost touch with St. Peter's. I've been able to access counselling, which has helped me to express every thought I have around this last 2 years, good and bad. And prior to the counselling, I would have said right and wrong, but I've been shown that there is no wrong, there is no guidebook for how I should feel, and all the thoughts and all the feelings are okay. I am okay. If you'd have told me 2 years ago that I could live through what I have lived through and be sat here today, I would have not believed it. I've struggled with things that were in comparison far less traumatic, and I would have told you I was weak and scared and not brave. But to finish this talk, I want to tell you of the hope and positives that sit alongside loss. No amount of sadness or grieving can bring Spencer back to me and his family. If I let the losses drown me and break me, then cancer took 2 of us. Life is precious and I cannot and will not let that happen. Loss brought me resilience. I've faced this year's pandemic and lockdown with a sense of calm. Losing the ability to plan, looking for the good in each day, and living comfortably without knowing what's ahead is a strength I learned through Spencer's illness and has served me well this year. The pandemic has been a reset button for me, as I was forced to slow down and not rush blindly forward, trying to be so busy that I would not face the loss. I met new people through Spencer's illness and forged strong bonds through shared experiences. I feel comfortable in the hospice and care for the staff, and I'm proud of any opportunity I can have to make a difference for them. Loss sows seeds inside us, seeds of sadness that we can let grow and overwhelm us and suffocate us, but we have a choice. We can take those seeds as learning. We can nurture ourselves and listen to the lessons of loss and use those lessons to drive us forward, to live a life that our loved ones will be proud of. I choose this. I choose not to be defined by loss. I choose not to be labelled as a widow or someone to whom life was hard. If I feel sad, I let myself be sad. And if I feel joy, I don't feel guilty for it. I choose to see loss as a stage of my journey, and I choose to quietly, slowly, and consciously live the best life I can, for myself and for Spencer. Thank you for listening, and I wish you a peaceful Christmas.
Thank you to Paula for sharing her story. How moving and yet uplifting as she chooses to not be defined by loss. I imagine there may be aspects of that story that resonate with you, or you may have had similar experiences. We have reached the part of our service where we pause to light our candles and take a moment to reflect and remember our loved ones. I will first read a dedication, which will be followed by the lighting of the candle. We have allowed plenty of time for you to find and light your candles at home. All over Bristol and the surrounding areas, people are lighting their candles this evening and coming together for the common purpose of remembering someone they have loved and lost. Shortly afterwards, a piece of music and video will play. We take this moment to express gratitude for our loved ones remembered here today, for every treasured memory, for the ways in which their lives touched ours, leaving us forever changed. We also remember all that we were able to give them. We stop and remember the difficult as well as the good times, for their courage in sickness and for all that they have given to us. Even in our sadness and despite our loss, we remember them. And for all who mourn, may you find comfort, hope, and peace.
how light carries on endlessly, even after death, with shortness of breath. You explain the infinite, how rare and beautiful it is to even exist. I couldn't help but ask you to say it all again. I tried to write it down, but I could never find the pen. I'd give anything to hear you say it one more time, that the universe was made just to be seen by my eye. And I couldn't help but ask you to say it all again. I tried to write it down, but I could never find the pen. I'd give anything to hear you say it one more time, that the universe was made just to be seen by my eyes. With shortness of breath, I'll explain the infinite, how rare and beautiful it truly is that we exist.
When I die, if you need to weep, cry for someone walking the street beside you. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands and souls touch souls. You can love me most by sharing your goodness and multiplying your acts of kindness. You can love me the most by letting me live in your eyes and not in your mind. And when you think of me, remember the wise person teaches, love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away.
My name is Sarah and I'm a nurse on the inpatient unit here at St Peter's Hospice, and I'd like to start by taking you back to my night shift, 31st of December 2019. I remember standing by the entrance to the inpatient unit and watching the fireworks with my colleagues and one of our patients. We were chatting, laughing, enjoying that special moment with each other. I was full of the hope and exciting anticipation that the new year brings. I feel I can speak for everyone when I say that this year definitely hasn't turned out the way we thought. In one way or another, loss has pushed its way into all of our lives this year. The loss of our former normality, all those everyday things we enjoyed and never gave a second thought, and when they're taken away, we realise their true value. The loss of some of our freedoms during lockdowns, shielding and isolations, and the loss of seeing family and loved ones as often and as freely as we want. The loss of socialising, making plans, making memories, those precious moments in life. For some of us, the loss of work, income, and the loss of hope that brings with it. And for many of us, loss has appeared much closer to home. It's forced its way in, unyielding and unexpected, and it carries the grief and heartbreak of losing a loved one. It's been felt through all the people who have died this year, and it continues to be felt day by day as we battle on through this extremely difficult time. For our patients that we care for, this year has brought its own distressing challenges. The heartbreaking reality of no visiting policies faced by many patients in hospitals and community settings, and the loneliness, stress and anxiety caused by this. The tragic loss of some patient services that have not been able to run this year, and the loss of social and clinical support this brings with it. Feelings of isolation when faced with barriers like closed doors and PPE, and the fear for our own health, especially those who are unwell and with chronic illnesses, and fearing the health and safety of loved ones as well. Now, more than ever, we must love and care for each other. We must look after those who are vulnerable in every sense of the word. And we must spread as much kindness as we possibly can, so even those who are lonely never truly feel alone. This is what I want to talk about now, the resilience, kindness and unfaltering compassion that I've witnessed this year. A patient said to me recently, "I can't see any of your faces because of the masks. Sometimes I can't see your name badges because of the aprons, but I still feel safe. I feel that you all care and I know that you're looking after me." This tells me, despite the fear, the stress, the uncertainty, even when faced with barriers that prevent us from doing our job the way we want or the way we're used to, our love and our care will always win. As healthcare professionals, it's hard to accept that we can't always make everything better. We can't always make the pain go away completely, and we can't always give people the answers they so desperately need. And this can be deeply upsetting and frustrating that we can't do these things. But this year, as I've continued to meet and care for incredible people, I realise now that what we can do is focus on what we can achieve, those things we can do to make those unbearable situations a tiny bit easier. We can take extra time and sit and really listen. Accept that we may not have the answer, and that's okay, but just being there, acknowledging what is being said and saying, "I'm here for you," this can make a huge difference. We can find out what things matter the most to people and how we can help them to achieve this, and what we can do to lift them up. We can take someone outside to see the garden because we know how hard it is being stuck in the same room all day long. We can do everything we can to make each day a little bit more bearable. We can be the company when loved ones can't be there. We can go the extra mile because we know it'll put a smile on their face. We can love and be grateful for our colleagues and check in regularly to make sure everyone is okay. The abundance of technology has been harnessed this year to allow people to stay in touch with the ones that matter most, in a time when socialising and meeting each other has become harder than ever. We found new ways of adapting to impossible situations because we know we have to in order to look after the ones that need us the most. Determination and resilience has risen up this year. Acts of kindness have been seen all across the healthcare sector to show support for one another and lift each other up. Trying to overcome the barriers we've all faced this year has definitely not been easy. There's been tears, frustration, anger and sadness. But there's also been smiles and laughter. There's been holding hands and squeezing them tight, and plenty of virtual hugs. There have been bright ideas and selfless generosity. And I really believe, no matter what barriers we face, our love, compassion, empathy and kindness, these things will always shine through.
The sun is fading a little more every turn. But if we make it, I'll be here for you for sure. And oh, release a little piece of my hoping away into the wild and free. Sometimes I wish that we hadn't gotten so deep. Adding transgressions, is it wrong to love so much? Out of perception, can't think of you enough. And oh, I know that I should be grateful. A love lost, stolen, never seen. But sometimes I wish that we hadn't gotten so deep. So sometimes I'm right back at the beginning. Sometimes you're right here with me. Sometimes I wish that we hadn't gotten so deep.
When we began planning for this year's event, we settled on the theme of loss, which felt appropriate considering the year we've all had. I don't think anyone could have predicted 2020 would have been the year it's turned out to be. We've made it through what is a historic year, a year that has been filled with a collective loss that hasn't been seen for generations. This is why loss is something all of us can identify with, from the trivial, like losing your keys, to the painful, like losing a loved one. When we experience a significant loss, it forever becomes a part of us, following us the remainder of our days. However, we don't all respond in the same way. For some, we find the silver lining and focus on ensuring values like kindness and love shine through and are not lost in the midst of our loss. For others, loss begins to reshape our perspective, helping to reveal things within us that we hadn't yet discovered. For example, strength and resilience that we never knew we had. It can cause us to face the loss of a loved one and adapt so that we find new ways of standing strong, which enables us to carry on. As our one reading said, you will not get over the loss of a loved one. You will learn to live with it. It is a simple yet profound truth that we now carry with us because we carry the memory of our loved ones in our hearts. My hope is that you've been able to find some encouragement from today's service and that you've been reminded how strong you are, how well you have loved, that even though loss has interrupted your life, it has not overwhelmed you, and that you have been able to carry on, because how rare and beautiful it is that we even exist. I want to thank you for joining online with us and being a part of this special time together. A service like this, especially this year, naturally requires the skills, gifts, and generosity of many people, especially the gentlemen behind the cameras. We want to express our gratitude to everyone who's given of their time and talent in preparation, setup, and contribution for today. Thank you. I'm going to read some closing words and then Lolita will play us out with a Christmas carol, Winter Wonderland. Please feel free to stay online as long as you wish listening to her. I suggest you do. As soon as we're able to facilitate viewings of the Book of Remembrance, we will. However, in the meantime, the electronic version of the book is available on our website. Once again, thank you for joining us. I hope you have found something in today's service that has spoken to you. I would like to finish with these words. Before we say goodbye and go our separate way, May we be given, each in our own way, the passion for living and loving, the courage for daring and hoping, the freedom for growing and changing, the capacity for giving and receiving, the tenderness for understanding and listening, and strength to endure. May compassion and peace and the acceptance of all that makes life whole be with us and go with us. Thank you.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman, then pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire, to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he's a circus clown. We'll have lots of fun with Mr. Snowman until the other kitties knock him down. When it snows, ain't it thrilling, though your nose gets a chilling. We'll frolic and play the Eskimo way, walking in a winter wonderland. Walking